Eureka! Ha! We wish. This is Carter. Let's get into this. Alright, folks, what you're seeing right here is not a Bitcoin wallet. I know what you're thinking. Look at all that cheddar. All these different transactions. It's making us sad too, especially since there's thousands of these transactions. I mean, look at this scroller. What this is when we were cleaning out one of our hard drives, before we get, let me step back a second. When we break down some of the equipment, some of these older builds had spindle hard drives before we started doing a lot of Linux builds and EthOS and all these other stuff. We used a lot of old spindle drives. Well, we don't really get rid of those drives, and before we do, we usually go through them, do a hard wipe on them, make sure there's nothing on them, and just happen to do a deep scan on one of them and found a wallet.dat. Well, there was no other associated files with it, so of course the first thing that we're going to do on an old hard drive that we've had for a long time, and since we've been doing this since 2011, was to go and see if we had accidentally misplaced one of our Bitcoin wallets. And looking at some of these transactions from back in 2013, the immediate thing came up and showed, once we attached it to a Bitcoin client, which it's still syncing, it had all of these different BTC transactions. But when we start to do a little deeper dive on it, and actually, like, if we click one of these transactions, it brings up the actual transaction ID as if it was a Bitcoin transaction amount. However, a couple big things. One, it's unconfirmed. Two, the transaction ID and the actual transaction address that it came from do not show up on the Bitcoin network. So we immediately thought, okay, well, this is either something really jacked up that we have not experienced before, or this is not a wallet.dat from a Bitcoin wallet. This is actually one of the forked coins, i.e. Litecoin or Feathercoin, which we're thinking that this is probably Feathercoin, or this is quite a bit of Litecoin that we just found. But more than likely it's Feathercoin, which is not worth that much at all, to be honest with you. I think that the total in this wallet, dumping it out to Excel, is only like 11,000 or something. But 11,000 Feathercoin, that is, not $11,000. So don't get your hopes up, folks. But the interesting point of this is the fact that if you take another wallet that has been essentially forked not too far from Bitcoin's structure, is that if you open up a Bitcoin client pointed to that wallet, it will actually open it. It will not do anything with confirming transactions or anything, but it will actually display at least some of the, I would call it the meta data around it, the transaction history, transaction ID, and all that. It just will not give you a status unconfirmed because it's not the right chain. But just thought that was an interesting thing. We'll have another video tomorrow and we'll get this thing opened in its proper wallet, and the mystery will continue until we figure out what coins this is associated with. Stay tuned.